How would I learn Valorant if I had to start over? Imagine you just loaded up Valorant for the very first time. No past games, no skill, just a blank slate. What's the first thing you would do? As a coach who's helped thousands gain hundreds of thousands, I've seen every new player mistake you could imagine. From using Ares only to listening to plats. So instead, I'm here to share exactly how I approach the game if I were starting over today. If you're a new player or just feeling hard stuck, listen up. Because I have a 7-day routine that isn't just about learning, it's about having more fun and becoming the player you want to be. First things first, we're a blank slate, so we approach Valorant like a blank slate. The biggest mistake players make early on is putting way too much pressure on themselves. They watch these insane pro clips or even see their friends and think, I need to be that good right now. But trust me, take that pressure. Go into the game with zero expectations. That's why our theme of day one is pure exploration. Do whatever. Jump into customs to learn the maps, try out a few swift plays to get used to the guns, get murked in deathmatch. Don't worry about getting good right now, get a feel for the game's basics. See how different agents and weapons interact. Trust me, it'll make you a lot more comfortable as you progress. On day 2, this is where I would start focusing. Starting with, we're going to be practicing with only 2 weapons, the Vandal and the Sheriff. Why these? They're versatile, powerful, and they build good aim habits from the start. They're also the most used guns in higher ranks on eco and rifle rounds. Quick tip, go into your settings, go to video, stats, scroll all the way down to shooting error and turn on graph only, and then go into controls. At the bottom, you'll see crouch. Go ahead and unbind that sucker. We want to stop any early bad habits. You'll see this graph on the, if you try crouching, it's not going to work. If you move and shoot, you're going to see that graph on the top right has a lot of blue in it. Blue means you move and shoot. Orange just means you're shooting, you got some fire and error. Ideally, what you want it to look like is this, where it's pretty stable. So that's the first thing we're going to practice, how to make our guns stable. So hop into the range and get a feel for the weapon. How fast can you fire these bullets before they start flying everywhere? Your goal is to get the timing down on the recoil. You're trying to push the game's limits for how fast you can actually shoot this gun. Too slow and you're going to be slower than your opponents. Too fast and you're not going to be hitting your opponent. So you want to find that sweet in between where you can shoot the gun as accurate as possible while still getting it all in one spot. Then try a few death matches. The goal here isn't flashy shots, it's controlled, accurate bullets. Here's the tricky pitfall. Remember, it's not about whether or not you win the fight. This is about practice. Valorant is a game of correct approach, not correct result. We're learning accuracy and precision, not auditioning to be some spray heavy aim god on TikTok. Day 3, we're back in the range. We've got our timing down for firing accurate shots, and now we're all about movement. Specifically, learning to stop and shoot. This is where so many new players go wrong, or sometimes intermediate players, thinking they can spray or crouch their way through fights, but one movement pattern works in almost every fight. I call it the 2-strafe Slayer. It's a 2-shot burst and another 2-shot burst, slaying your enemy. Where my girl boss is at. Practicing this movement will push the game's limits, making you the toughest target to hit while firing off the most accurate. Seriously, this is the bread and butter of clean engagements. Get this rhythm down. You will be putting yourself leagues ahead of other players just by not crouch spamming mid-fight. For now, we're aiming to master this fighting style in 2 to 3 death matches at the start of every day. You can also practice it a bit before in the range just to get comfortable with it. Here's an example of what it looks like with my movement keys. Unlike Team Deathmatch, normal Deathmatch pushes you to learn the map's angles, covers, and entry points, which is priceless for real games. Players are often confused whether Team Deathmatch or normal Deathmatch. So if you're sticking with just a few deathmatches a day, that's perfect. This isn't about grinding endless hours. It's about soaking up map knowledge and developing realistic gunfight. Once again, this isn't about sweating it out. Stay experimental. For days 4 and 6, we're trying to find our agent. Now that we kind of have our mechanics comfortable, we want to figure out who we connect with. A lot of people say, who's the best agent? Who's the best that? Which agent is best for me? Just try them out. Alright, there's way too many of these things. If you want coach's recommendation, if you want to play duelist, go Phoenix. If you want to play controller, go Omen. If you want to play initiator, go Gecko. And if you want to go Sentinel, try Killjoy. Doesn't matter what role you play, remember, just about who you can enjoy playing. Load into the range, try out these different agents, see what their abilities look like, what do they do, how do they operate. Maybe try a few unrated, or if you have comp unlocked already, maybe try a few matches, but don't worry about these guides or tutorials yet. Just get a feeling for it. Valorant is an overwhelming game with way too many setups and lineups out there, and to be honest, you really don't need to know all these crazy things you can do with your abilities. The simplest answers, using your ability to use the simplest thing, for example using a fade dog to clear an area, is a beautiful use of the utility, and you're already better than platinums, diamonds, even some ascendants by doing this. So remember, it's easy to end up just copying setups and what looks cool. Most of it doesn't actually help you understand the game. Just experiment, play around, get comfortable. The more natural it feels, the better. A little add-on to that is don't be afraid to ask yourself questions. Remember, we don't know everything, we're new to the game, we're expected to die in really stupid ways. So if you see an ability and you're like, what is this good for? Hop into the range, try it on these bots. Oh, it pulls them in. If I don't hit anyone, the orb disappears. So I can use this for intel, and I can use this to fight players. If I throw this eye, what does it do? Most things in this game are either for intel, for map control, or to fight someone. Now by the end of this week, you've built up your mechanics, you've learned more about the maps, how the guns work, and you're starting to experiment with agents. Going forward, our main focus is going to be on agents. How do we use our agents to control this map, to help our teammates, to take a favorable fight? What does that look like? If you're a player already on this game, that's also what I would recommend. Most people have pretty good mechanics, pretty good game sense, pretty good map knowledge, but they don't apply that knowledge to their agent, or even just what they're facing. So now we built up a routine you can return to, one with way less stress than obsessing over immediate improvement, looking at your career, looking at tracker, looking at your friends ranking up, looking at tracker and how terrible your tracker score is. Oh my god. But seriously, if there's one thing I go back and tell myself, it's that perfecting basics is a secret to faster progress. If you're more experienced, I would recommend a 1-5-1 week routine where you have 5 games with that deathmatch in range at the beginning and 1 day for a break. The biggest takeaway here is to give yourself permission to mess up, test things, and keep an experimental mindset. If you mess up, laugh at it, ask if you want to change something, and think of how you'd adjust. There's a ton of room to experiment, and that's the beauty. Valorant is like a science experiment. Don't aim for perfect, just focus on learning. Test different hypotheses to find what works best for you. If you found this routine helpful, or just want more guidance, I've got plenty of resources on my Ko-Fi, from my guide to Immortal, agent masterclasses, and a Q&A channel where you can ask me anything you want. Thanks to everyone that supports this content and makes these videos possible. Bye-bye.